Good morning, happy Monday. Jackie Broman here from Legally Wise Women. Popping in to give you a short bit of legal information. So I do try and do this every Monday for you. If you have any particular things you'd like me to ask me about, that you'd like me to talk about, please let me know. What I tend to pop in here and talk about are things to help you engage with the legal industry, to help you resolve your dispute, hopefully even without a lawyer, to get a quicker and cheaper result, to find and hire the right lawyer if you need to, but also to not get ripped off so that you understand the legal industry and what to ask about. Other topics that I pop in here is usually a replay from what I do for my law firm as well. So there will be a video popping in later in the week, a replay video. This week I just did it actually about parental responsibility. So I'm going to post that across shortly. Today though, live now, I wanted to talk about how to talk to your lawyer about their legal fees. So this is probably what keeps a lot of people from getting legal advice, is fear about legal fees. It's still a bit of a misperception that legal fees are excessive. You can find lawyers that are not. And when you compare them to other service providers, they're often on par or potentially cheaper. There are lawyers still that will gouge, but this is about how to avoid those lawyers. When you think about providing or using other service providers like tradies, or like, for example, a surveyor if you were doing a subdivision, or a real estate agent if you were selling a house, now their fees are significantly higher usually than what a lawyer would charge. So just bear that in mind as well, that it is a fear that is probably hanging on from a couple of decades ago. Whereas over the last decade, for sure, the demand for cheaper and more efficient legal fees and services have meant that legal fees really have not gone up. And in fact have come down in some cases over the last 10 years. So a lot of this comes back to asking the right questions when you initially have appointments with lawyers, so you can actually narrow down which lawyer you would want to go with. And you should, in your initial appointment, ask how a lawyer charges, or you can ask that when you call up the office before even making the appointment, and it might mean that you don't make the appointment at all. So if the lawyer charges a fixed fee service for whatever they do, the person who answers the phone should either tell you that it'll be fixed fee, and the lawyer will be able to tell you what it is in the first appointment, or they will actually tell you what the fixed fee is for the first step. It might be a first and only step if it's a transactional matter. If it's a litigation matter, it might be fixed fee per stage in that litigation matter, for example. So a fixed fee is one way a lawyer can charge. A lawyer can also charge in accordance with their scale of costs. So that is when the court that the matter is going to be in actually sets out the rates for certain things, and the lawyer has to stick to those. A lawyer can also charge by an hourly rate. If they charge by an hourly rate, they need to give you an estimate. So you should get a range in which your legal fees should come within. If for some reason the scope of the work changes, the lawyer has to give you an updated estimate. So you are, as the consumer, entitled to ask for these things, and in fact they are required to provide you with a cost agreement. If you don't get a cost agreement, you go elsewhere. It's similar to engaging, for example, a mechanic or a plumber or someone to service your aircon or whatever. You would get quotes up front, and if you're not happy with the quote, you get another one. So do the same with lawyers. You shouldn't necessarily treat them any differently just because it's a professional service. It's still a service that they are providing, and they have to provide that service with due care, and they're required to give you a cost agreement, to give you a quote, to update the scope if the scope changes. So what else can you ask about? For example, you could say, well, can I get invoices monthly so it doesn't get out of hand? Can you invoice me at the end of each month and I'll pay as I go? Yes, you can do that with most lawyers. You may also ask, can I pay in installments up front? So you're putting funds away in a sort of way of saving into their trust account ahead of time. Yes, most lawyers will let you do that. You could also ask, I don't have a lump sum amount at the moment, can I pay at the end? And yes, some lawyers will allow that too, depending on the type of matter. So you can ask those questions as well. When you get an invoice, you can also ask to see an itemized invoice, so you can actually see what you're getting charged for. So yes, you're allowed to do that as well. The other thing to check as well when you go through your cost agreement is to look to see whether there's any hidden fees and expenses that aren't in the estimate or the fixed fee quote. So when solicitors give a fixed fee quote, even conveyancers do this, they will say, oh, it'll be $800, $900. However, then it's plus GST, plus disbursements. Disbursements are any fees that a lawyer pays on your behalf, like a court fee or a registration fee, search fees, and those can add up quickly to hundreds and hundreds of dollars. So you want someone who will actually explain this to you and make it very clear so you understand what it is you're paying for. Some lawyers hide in their cost agreement that they also charge for photocopying, for postage, that their support staff also charges, not just the lawyer. So do have a look through that. If you're not sure, then ask. And as I said at the beginning, this is part of when you're going around trying to find the right lawyer, having your initial appointments and asking these questions early on. So make sure you do that. And as I've said before, you can change lawyers part way through, but understand a lawyer's not going to hand over the file to someone else until you've paid them. And you may have to pay the new lawyer then a little bit extra to work out what's happened. So there's a little bit of extra expense in changing lawyers, but it could save you in the long run as well. So bear that in mind too. But do not be scared about asking lawyers about how they charge, about how often you would like to be invoiced, about getting an itemized invoice. Lawyers don't necessarily like talking about their fees, but if you ask, they have to, and they have to provide you a cost agreement. So make sure you get that and make sure you check it out and understand it. So there you are, a bit of legal information for a Monday morning. If there's any topics you'd like me to cover, please let me know. If there's any questions arising out of this one, let me know and I'll try to answer them next Monday for you. But if you do need any resources about how to find the right lawyer or what questions to ask, again, let me know and I can point you in the right direction. A lot of it is in the guides in this group. So head to guides and there's a fair few videos and things specifically about alternative dispute resolution, which might save you a lot of costs as well, or about how to find and hire the right lawyer. So check those out. Otherwise, I'll catch you next week again. So my name again is Jackie and I'll see you next Monday. Have a great week.